Tonight, a familiar face to viewers across the country. Charles Gibson reported for almost 30 years at ABC News, and he anchored the network's top broadcast, ABC World News. We get his unique perspective now on covering one of the worst tragedies in American history.
The strongest words yet.
It was a morning that began like any other for the news anchors on ABC.
I'm Charles Gibson.
I'm Diane Sawyer, and it's Tuesday, September 11th, 2001.
They covered morning show stories including Fashion Week.
Behind me, you can see gorgeous models.
And a murder trial.
Today, jury selection.
Then Gibson realized something changed.
I will never forget, Diane and I were sitting in the studio, Good Morning America, and we were about 15 minutes from the end of the broadcast, and we had run over. We were in a commercial. We weren't going to be able to do the next segment that we had planned because there wasn't time for it. Mm-hmm. And so we're just sitting discussing what to do. We have the stage manager has just said 1 minute, and they were going to come back. And a guy named Stu Schwartz, who was a producer in the control room for us, said, something has just happened at the World Trade Center. There are flames coming out of the side of the building. A plane may have hit the building. We have a traffic camera poised, pointing at the building. You're on the air, go.
We want to tell you what we know as we know it. We just got a report in that there's been some sort of explosion at the World Trade Center in New York City.
That seems like it would be a very big responsibility to be in New York, where some of the attacks happened, reporting the news to a whole nation that is getting scared. You have to remain calm. How is that for you to have that type of responsibility?
You're talking about on 9/11 itself,
yeah.
and afterwards. Well, we were on the air when the first plane hit.
This is an ABC News special report.
The entire nation saw this alert flash across their screens, and at the time, Gibson still didn't know exactly how enormous this story was going to be.
You have to, at that point, essentially say, we don't know any more than you do. You know, this is what we're seeing. We don't know what it is. We don't know whatever. Needless to say, you go to the pictures rather quickly. But we're joined by the entire network just to show you some pictures at the foot of New York City. This is at the World Trade Center. Obviously a major fire there, and there has been some sort of explosion. And then the second plane hit.
That there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
My first thought was, because it was forest fire season in California, that maybe it was one of those planes with a fire retardant thing, hanging from its belly. But then you thought, where would you get that in New York? And then my second thought was, it's a traffic copter. No, it's too big for that. And then it hit. That looks like a good-sized plane came in and hit the World Trade Center from the other side. And I will forever think back about what we said at the time. Diane, in the very human reaction, said, oh my God. And I wish I'd done the same, but I said, now we know what's going on. We're under attack. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway in downtown New York. The interesting part was the next day.
We're starting this morning. It's 7 o'clock, and normally we'd be signing on the air with Good Morning America, but ABC News has not left the air for the past 22 hours now.
I remember thinking to myself, you know, the specifics of the stories that we're going to have on the air is not as important as the tone that Diane and I adopt.
This is a picture of the plane. Oh, I don't care how many times you see it. It is just awful. Mr. Mayor, I can't thank you enough for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the coverage. It was enormously helpful yesterday. A lot of people used the television coverage as a way of figuring out how to get out of there, and you were enormously helpful to many of our citizens, and I thank you very much.
Gibson covered hundreds of stories and interviewed the last 8 American presidents, but he realized the giant scope of these attacks were even bigger.
I do remember thinking to myself, this is the most important story you'll ever report. And also thinking everything that you've done in 30-some years in this business is predicate to this point, to this moment in your life.